I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, did he drink 6 Estus or only 5? Now, to tell you the truth, I've forgotten myself in all this excitement. But this is superior Lothric steel, the sharpest blade in the world, and it will cut chunks out of your health bar. So you gotta ask yourself the question, do I feel lucky? Well, do ya, punk? Hello everyone and welcome. Today I answer the question, can I beat Dark Souls 3 while only leveling luck? And the answer may surprise you. I started off with the Deprived class because challenge run and spawn into the world, ready to gamble it all. So the rules of the run, only level luck, about as straightforward as they come. Before you ask, yes, this is Soul Level 1, but with extra steps. However, unlike my previous runs, this is new to me. I have not yet done Soul Level 1 in Dark Souls 3, so I have nothing to compare this to. Translation, this is going to be harder for me than you think, and I can already think of several bosses I'm terrified of. Why don't you guys comment down below on which boss you think, or know from experience, to be the hardest SL1 boss to take down. And while you're doing that, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 100,000 by the end of the year, and I promise I have actually difficult challenges to come. Back to the matter at hand. Gundyr, oh he's dead. Well, I'm off to a good start. I go ahead and use my souls to level up luck, which is completely pointless right now, then try my hand at the tree skip. And here we can see how I could never be a speedrunner because I'd literally just fail random tricks over and over and have to restart the run constantly. I came up here for the Estus shard, but more importantly the Silver Serpent's Ring. Since I actually get to level up, I'm going to try and milk as many souls as I can. And with that, it's off to the beautiful High Wall of Lothric. It would seem my luck is already paying off as I pick up perhaps the best weapon in the whole game, the Broken Straight Sword, but it feels like it would be unfair to use it, so I just stash it for now. This knight always gives me trouble, I'm not sure why. It's probably because I'm trying to play the game like Dark Souls. You know, dodge in, get a hit, dodge out. Now, how I'm supposed to play this game is spam R1, because poise is a made up stat. Even though I don't plan on using it for very long, I mean literally like less than 10 minutes, I go ahead and beat up this mimic for the deep battle axe. It'll give me a moderate boost in damage, but the broadsword is literally like 10 rooms away. You know, I said moderate boost in damage, but it took me 3 hits to take out this crystal lizard, so maybe I'm just wrong about that. Well, doesn't matter because I found the broadsword. This is like one of 2 things I know about the true SL1 run. The other is the Dragon Slayer axe, but I'm not going to be using that. Oh no, I have other plans. Very low health, no Estus, and a dog? What could possibly go wrong? Well, I can honestly say I didn't expect that's what would go wrong. Oh, hi there, Andre. Could you please raw my bastard sword? I make my way through the rest of the level until I meet Emma. Now, I could take on the dancer now, but I'm insane, not stupid. Instead, I grab the banner and make my way down to everyone's favorite charging thing? What even is Vort supposed to be? The fight goes pretty normal, except guess who forgot Vort charges 3 times during phase transition? Maybe I should take back the stupid comment from a second ago. Second try things go much better, except I unfortunately do not have enough damage to burst him down during the big breath attack, which means I actually have to figure out his phase 2 moveset, something I haven't seen since the first time I fought him 8 years ago. Also, I switched back to the deep battle axe here because he's apparently a ghost type and has a weakness to dark damage. It did like 10 more damage, so it honestly didn't matter. Whatever, he goes down on the second try. Over in the Undead Settlement, I meet up with everyone's favorite Pilgrim of the Dark, Gandalf. He's going to give me a few free level ups, but ultimately is going to serve a greater purpose. Is this the up dog everyone is referring to? Going into this run, I had initially thought to be completely melee only, but like, why though? I'm sorry, game? What, did the clap of the evangelist's fat ass do damage? So, I've never seen this before, but Knight Hodrick invaded me and kinda didn't aggro. Like, he's just walking around? I was under the assumption that when an NPC invades you, they have like Terminator kill vision. I make nice with the giant so I don't get sniped from across the level anymore, then help Sigurd take on this demon. I don't have high hopes for this run. Second try, I like 35% helped with the fight. I don't plan on doing his questline, but I did want to come this way for Flynn's Ring and the Chloranthy Ring. Unlike my one-shot run, I should get at least a little use out of Flynn's Ring, and the extra stamina regen is always going to be nice. I'm also going to skip the Curse Rod of Greatwood for now, not for any particular reason, I just don't have a need for the transposing kiln yet. Well, hello there, Henri. I have a feeling we're going to become very close very soon. Before that, however, I speak with Orbeck, who agrees to teach me sorceries if I give him scrolls. I guess these are just worthless pieces of paper. Now it's time for the luckiest boss in the whole game, the Crystal Sage. Allow me to try and recreate the absolute emotional roller coaster I felt while fighting this boss. See, I don't do a whole lot of damage, and I have basically no health, so the longer the boss stays alive, the higher the chance I'd make a mistake. At the end of the fight, I got blasted point blank by his purple laser, bringing me to almost death, but it's my lucky day, so I got up, dodged out of the way, and he frickin' Uno reversed me. This has to be the epitome of Dark Souls fights. I almost had to put the controller down and walk away. It wasn't even that I was mad, because I wasn't, but wow, that was something. Fortunately, I redeemed myself on the very next attempt. Guess his luck finally ran out. Hey fellas, just blow in from Stupid Town? Hey Firekeeper, that's a nice mask you have there. I really like the design and it looks comfy and easy to wear. But it looks a little thin. I don't think it blocks out the light from the fire at all. How do you get any sleep? What's that? You have an even cooler mask that does block light and has little Bluetooth speakers so you can listen to relaxing music while you drift off to Never Never Land? Whoa, we gotta get one of those, dear viewer. And we can, thanks to today's sponsor, Manta Sleep. Sleeping is a vital part of your life. We spend 1/3 of every day asleep. Well, unless you're me, then it's more like 1/8, but that means the time I do sleep is even more important, and Manta Sleep masks really help. See, I like to sleep on my side, that way I'm ready to roll out of bed and fight Gwen anytime he tries me, and the Manta Sleep mask is designed with side sleepers in mind. They're also designed not to put pressure on your eyes, which is a huge plus for me, as that's basically my biggest problem with any of those casual sleep masks. But Manta, they're different. Their masks fit comfortably around my head, are easy to adjust, and they shut out all light. They even have a version that has these little Bluetooth speakers built in so you can listen to the pling pling plon while you try to sleep. Not to mention they have a cooling, heating, or even a weighted mask. So it's time to take your sleep back, everyone. Just click my link in the description below and use my code DOOMWOLF at checkout for 10% off. Don't sleep on this deal. Wait, I mean, maybe do sleep on it. No, that's not right either. Check out the deal, then sleep wonderfully. Nailed it. Thanks again to Manta Sleep for sponsoring this video. Now back to our regularly scheduled programming. Okay, I think it's finally time for an upgrade. First step is to strategically throw myself off a cliff multiple times. Doing so will let Yol level me up 5 times, which ultimately causes Yuria to spawn. The reason I want that is because she will inform me that Traitor Orbeck is doing traitory things and I should stop him, so I ram my sword into him repeatedly. Upon turning over his ashes, I am awarded the Morium Blade, which is just Red Tearstone Ring, but as a sword. Even though I can't wield it, I can hold it in my offhand to get the effects. Next, I return to Henri, and as they say, let chaos take the world. They try and tag team me, but I'm not into that, so I take out Horus first, and Henri is so distraught she falls to her knees and just lets me kill her. I kinda feel bad. Well, she's not getting any deader. Henri's straight sword, the weapon I will be carrying into the endgame. At first glance, it probably seems like a pretty so-so sword. However, it has the hidden attribute of scaling with a secret stat. Luck. That's right, you thought it was a challenge run, but it was me, a meme run! What's that? You never once thought this was a challenge run? Well, joke's on you, dear viewer, I suck at this game, so every run is a challenge run. Before continuing, I thought it would be a good idea to level this sword up. It takes Twinkling Titanite, which is fine, I guess. I mean, it's not hard to get it just drops from various Titanite lizards, the first of which is right here after the Crystal Sage. Also, I just want to say, the wiki is on something. It claims that there are 2 Titanite lizards here, one right after the other. There are absolutely not 2. I spent a few minutes running up and down this area making sure I didn't miss it, then even went and watched a YouTube video of all the lizard locations. There's only one here, so I don't know why it says 2. I then grab a couple more from the area right outside the church. Lastly, I buy the tower key. Now, I'm pretty sure there's a way to snipe the lizard without using it, but I wanted to come this way for the Firekeeper soul anyway. Deacons of the Deep. Normally, I enjoy this encounter. I mean, not because it's a fun fight, but because I usually come in here with some huge fuck-off sword and can just sweep through them, literally. Here, however, not so much. The first attempt goes poorly. I'm not able to one-shot the weakest variant, or two-shot the stronger ones. Usually they are pretty passive though, so it's not a huge deal, but unfortunately I just couldn't handle the heat. On my way back, I wasn't so lucky and got hit by a fireball, so let me show you a perk of Henri's sword I haven't talked about yet. It's similar to a blessed weapon where you can regen health from holding it. It's not very fast, but you can speed it up by constantly equipping and unequipping the sword. Riveting gameplay, ain't it? Second try on the Deacons, I decided I would use some Alluring Skulls. I mean, I won't use them during any other part of the run, so why not here? This proved to be the right choice, and I was able to take them out. I grabbed 1 Twinkling Titanite from the magic nest in the sky, and 1 from this lizard near my cousin to make my weapon a +3. Then I sell damn near everything I own and even farm a little just so I can undo my baconification. So I guess, technically speaking, those levels from Yol weren't free. Oh well, at least I don't look like a shriveled nutsack anymore. At this point, I could proceed and take on the Abyss Watchers. That would be the smart thing to do, but I'm stupid. Like, really stupid. Hello, Emma. I told you we would meet again. Ah, the Dancer. I love this fight. It isn't as bombastic as a lot of the bosses in the series, but there's something just kinda enchanting about it. Like the slow, somber music, her floaty dance moves, I don't know, I just like it. Normally. See, here, I was worried because I knew she was going to kick my shit in. And she did! Repeatedly! I was also having a hard time just getting to her without being hit. At first, I was annoyed, but then I realized they were just trying to tell me to use the Morium Blade. It didn't help. Morium Blade did 13 more damage per light attack than Lloyd's Sword Ring, and because I could survive some of her attacks, I decided I might as well start at full health. Keyword there, some. Eventually, I got good, and I made it to phase 2. Then I was even lucky managing to dodge her whirlwind attack. Normally I just run away from it, but I didn't have space here. Unfortunately, she immediately told me to take my luck and shove it where the wind don't shine. Now, a normal person would probably think, hey, I don't have to fight her right now, I'll come back when I'm stronger. Yeah. So I kept throwing myself at her, and eventually I run her through with my sword. Also, I win the fight. With access to Lothric Castle proper, I can collect the final 8 Twinkling Titanite necessary to level up my weapon and a certain ring. The problem is actually getting to those things. This ain't exactly an early game area, but I'm rocking early game health, so... yeah... I don't know why, but I hate fighting these things, so I'm pulling a card from J.K. Lee's and just throwing knives at it. But that wasn't enough, so I went in with my sword and promptly died. Alright, well if throwing knives didn't do it, how about I apply for the Firebomb Academy? Grabbing the final set of Titanite, I can upgrade my weapon to +4. I also go back and make sure to pick up the red Tearstone ring because this and the Morium Blade stack for some absolutely crazy damage. Now, I could just call it and go fight the Abyss Watchers, but why not go all the way? There's one Titanite slab that is available right now, I just need to dive into the DLC for it.
You look to be unkindled.
I don't know if it's possible to get pregnant by someone's voice, but I need to go check. I used to panic every time I had to go down these tree branches. Now I can keep my calm, and instead of getting sniped by exploding arrows, I just break my ankles. Murder the tree, climb the ladder, Death Rosetta Stone acquired. Finally, it's time to actually get back on track. So I set up Uber Hyper Mode by throwing myself off this ledge repeatedly, then take on the Abyss Watchers. I immediately died. Why I thought my first proper attempt at them in probably a few years should have been done in Hyper Mode is beyond me. Didn't stop me from trying it again though. Holy shit, I took out nearly half their health in a single backstab. If only there was some internet meme that would reflect the amount of damage that is, because it's a lot. Near the end of phase 1, I actually got scared and decided to heal, which ultimately ended up being the right choice as I took a couple of light hits. Funnily enough, those hits put me right back into Uber mode, but this time I instinctively healed. Since I was wearing Lloyd's sword ring, I still did a decent amount of damage. And a few seconds later, the first Lord of Cinder has fallen. I'm sure they're all gonna be that easy. Ha. How has this never been patched? I mean, it's not important, but like, why not just add an extra collider box slightly in front of the wall? Wolnir, the man who ended my one-shot run. It's time for revenge. Hey, can we cut that out? Wolnir, this has got to be one of the biggest disappointments for a boss. I mean, just look at the presentation. Too bad he just slapped his wrist a couple of times and he dies. At this point I figured I would backtrack and take out the Curse Rod of Greatwood. There really isn't anything to talk about here. I can one-shot the smaller bulbs and he only takes 2 shots to the nuts for those to explode. The reason I took him out now was I knew I would need the Transposing Kiln for at least one item and I didn't want to forget about it. With that, I'm off to Hogwarts. Ah, a knight of culture I see. It's hard for me to put into words how upset this makes me. The next boss up is Pontiff Sullivan, and he has a glaring weakness to small round shields. I fully plan on abusing that fact, but first I need to set up Uber mode. Unfortunately, that proved to be just as hard as fighting the actual boss. It still took me a few tries and the final encounter was a bit sloppy, but allow me to show you the full fight as it's that short. First, I opened with a parry or post doing an absolutely ludicrous amount of damage. I followed up with a charged strong attack, which is enough to push him into phase 2. I learned the hard way that this has a hitbox on it, so I stand back and ready my stance. Then I use the thrusting one to close the distance. I dodge to the side of his thrust and retaliate. At this point, he's basically guaranteed to try and summon his clone, and that's GG baby. Pontiff down in like 20 seconds. You know, this place looks vaguely familiar, I just can't put my finger on it. Oh haha, they tried to copy that iconic bit from the first game. Like, oh my god guys, it's Anorlando, wow! That's probably how From Software expected players to react when they got here. Well, it worked, that's exactly what I sounded like on my first playthrough. Okay, I'm starting to wonder if luck somehow affects enemy detection. This is the second time I've seen an enemy just not notice me. Next up is Aldrich Devourer of Gods. This is a boss I generally consider to be easy. Considered, past tense. How unlucky do I have to be to stop on the one spot where this thing would fall on me? Right, so as I was saying, Aldrich is normally not an issue. The problem is, I don't have the health or stamina to outrun the rain of arrows in phase 2. Now, there is a spot at the back of the room you can hide in, which is great, but then he would fling magic at me and I had no choice but to rely completely on iframes to get through it, which more often than not resulted in abrupt death. The rest of his attacks though are easy to deal with. Slow moving magic balls, fast moving ones. Hey wait, these are just Gwendolyn's attacks. Hey wait a minute. In the end, I decided to Hail Mary the fight, and as you can see, I died, but so did he, so who's the real victor here? What the? Ho, mukatte kuru no ka? Right, anyway, that's 2 Lords of Cinder down, 2 to go. Next objective is to dive deep into the dungeons. Tell me again why people say this game is better than Dark Souls 1? Making my way further in, I drop down past this giant, and then See, this is why I don't PvP. I'm so good, the invaders die off screen. Next up is Yorm the Giant. Now, I thought about doing this boss with my basic sword, but then I thought, why would I do that? This run isn't, can I beat Dark Souls 3 with only Honorary Straight Sword? No, it's luck only, and oh look how lucky I am to find Yorm's weakness in his arena. I was in RTSR range at the beginning, but unfortunately it didn't give me any extra damage. And when he went into phase 2, I healed. I don't know why, I'm pretty sure anything he would hit me with would just one-shot me anyway. After a couple more cuts, he goes down and I am whisked away to Lothric Castle. Here's a question for everyone out there. Who's talking right now? Originally, I thought it was Emma. After all, she wants me to go beat up Lothric, but she's already dead in this run. I mean, something time is convoluted, but still. I thought maybe it was Lothric himself speaking directly to me, but then they say Prince Lothric is in your hands, which is a weird thing to say about yourself, at least outside of the bedroom. Well, I'm gonna put a pin in Lothric right now and head towards another boss. I hate this game. Knock off Seath the Scaleless. This is a boss I was worried about since before I even sat down to research this run. Why, you ask? That attack right there. His charge has no wind-up, no tell, no nothing, it's just swift and immediate death. I actually found out while Embered and wearing Lloyd's shield ring, it's survivable, just barely. I thought this would be invaluable information, and perhaps it is to anyone out there wanting to do this run themselves and dreading this encounter, but on the very same fight I learned about this, I succeeded, but not before having a panic attack. First, I managed to get a stagger, allowing me for some extra damage. Lucky. Then I missed a killing blow and got tail wiped in the face. Unlucky. However, he didn't do the charge. Lucky. But he showed me the power of 5 gum. Unlucky. Then I stabbed him in the face, which in most instances people would consider unlucky, but not for me. I grabbed the Path of the Dragon emote for later, then head deeper into this forgotten part of the world. Champion Gundyr. Now this is a fight that absolutely rocked my ass the first time I played this game. That was before I figured out, like Pontiff Sullivan, he has a weakness to small round shields. With the amount of damage I do, the fight's basically half scripted. Open up with a parry and hope you're just far enough away to swing twice. Do that, then get a riposte. Then you gotta read his next attack, which for me was just a halberd strike, aka parry bait, then into a riposte. At this point, he should be low enough to phase transition, so back off to avoid the beginning part of the charge and, you guessed it, parry the swing. Now we start to freestyle. In my case, he went for a hook, so I just moved out of the way. Then I partial parried his follow-up. That's good because it kept me alive, but bad because Honorary Sword healed me out of RTSR range, so now I'm just doing flat less damage. I didn't actually realize I was no longer in hyper mode, so I pulled out the Morion Blade for Uber mode and was mini confused when it didn't kill him, but he was low enough that 2 quick attacks were enough. Man, I love it when bosses go down so quickly I can basically showcase the entire fight. Anyway, I am here for the coiled sword fragment and some delicious grapes. Then, back in the light world, I use Champion Gundyr's Soul to make the Prisoner's Chain. This is a ring that will increase vigor, endurance, and vitality at the cost of making me take more damage. But since I have base health anyway, most things from here on out are just going to one-shot me regardless. Case in point, Dragon Slayer armor. This absolute unit of an Ornstein wields a massive lightning axe and a not-so-small round shield. Now, to be fair, he actually can't one-shot me with all of his attacks. Everything from his axe, absolutely, but I had a couple of shield slams that didn't, so that's good. I have no idea how I'm alive right now. Pop quiz, what is the deadliest sin in the Kingdom of Lothric? That's right, greed. These attempts are starting to drag on, and I think it's finally time to slay this armor. Okay, I'll leave the wordplay to JK Leeds. Now, I can and probably should make my way to the Twin Princes, but I figured why not embrace my newfound Dragon Slayer blood even more. So it's back to the dungeon I go. This looks like a nice place to meditate. I really need to cut back on the green blossom. Just like Yorm, I thought about spending a few minutes cutting the ankles of the giant wyvern, but again, just like Yorm, yeah, nah. Alright, show of hands, who thinks these adorable little rock lizards have a hitbox entirely too big on their rolling attack? I'd make a joke about it being a skill issue, and I mean it probably is, but in all my time playing this game, I have never been able to effectively dodge it unless I dive perfectly perpendicular to them. Then don't even get me started on the fact that there are 4 of them grouped together. Anyway, it's time for Nameless King. He who many people consider to be the hardest base game boss. A statement I agree with. Nameless King pulled off the whole delayed attack thing before Elden Ring made it cool, and honestly, I think that's what gave him the reputation of being the hardest. Well, that and hitting like a semi that's carrying semis. However, after my time with Elden Rings, I am immune to his delayed attacks. What I'm not immune to is his giant lightning spear. Phase 1 is honestly how like in-game Genichiro feels in Sekiro. Like, sure, it can be a problem, but it's mostly just a speed bump. A few head hits followed by a stance strong attack is enough to open the King of Storms up for a riposte, and at that point the phase is basically over. True Nameless King is... well... yeah, I'm gonna need to rethink my strategy. Every attack he can do is a one-shot. The exceptions are if I get hit only by the wind, meaning I might as well be in uber hyper mode for the whole fight. So I use up some luck to get the symbol of avarice just to lower my health, then talk to Cornix. That way he can give me the Pyromancer Flame. Lastly, I grab Power Within and the Hornet Ring. The issue with doing this setup is that Power Within will drain my health, but Honorary Straight Sword will restore it. I know that sounds perfect, but the problem is I can't easily maintain my uber hyper mode status as I will eventually heal out of it, or, die. It doesn't help that the health drain and regen aren't 1-to-1, even if I use the Sun Princess Ring to give me more regen. So what my plan ended up being was to start the fight in Uber Hyper mode with RTSR, Morion Blade, and Power Within on, then when I naturally healed out of it, I would also be wearing Lloyd's Sword Ring for a little extra damage. I also had on the Hornet's Ring, but that was mostly for phase 1. Allow me to demonstrate. I'll be honest, I have no idea how I didn't die here. I was definitely walking the single digits. Anyway, the rest of phase 2 is just me dodging everything he does, worried that if I got greedy it would be my death. Wouldn't be the first time. Near the end of the fight, he did his stomp attack, and in this run he hadn't done that before, so I had completely forgotten about it, causing me to get hit, but miraculously, it's not a one-shot. After that, I managed to break his stance, but I forgot at first that he could actually be riposted, but I went ahead and tried, as the worst that could happen is I simply hit him with my sword. He lives on a sliver of health, but as long as I have mediocre timing, I should be able to hit him as he stands up, and just like that, the king without a name was felled by the last of all Ashen Ones, or something. There's only a couple more bosses remaining in the base game, the Twin Princes, the final boss, and the one I forgot about like 7 hours ago. If only I had some jolly cooperation for that sandworm. Old Demon King. I have nothing to say about him. I am overleveled. I mean, I'm not, but I am, but you know what I mean. None of his attacks can one-shot me, or if they can, I didn't get hit by them, and the fight's over before I even know it. Right, back on track, it's time to fight Lothric and Lorien. Now, I have never had an issue in this fight. I'm not saying they're easy, but all of their attacks are clearly telegraphed, and even the teleportation ones give you enough time to react. So I'm kind of excited to know how my experience will differ at Pseudo Soul Level 1. Not much, as it turns out. Thanks to Lloyd's Shield Ring, I can still survive a surprising number of hits, so it honestly just felt like a normal fight. I do want to point out something that was kinda interesting. I swung once to finish phase 1, and just happened to be standing where they spawned for phase 2, and in the same swing that ended phase 1, I hit them in the beginning of phase 2. I mean, I still lost on this attempt, but it was just some silly extra damage that I thought was, well, lucky. A couple of tries later, the Twin Princes are laid to rest, and that means the true challenge can begin now. Oh wait, no, I forgot about Gravetender. Okay, one more easy boss, then the real challenge. I decided to try my hand at parrying him, hoping it would do some good damage. I mean, it did, I guess. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to finish him before the Great Wolf showed up, but I ended up being in the right spot that I was able to get some lucky stray shots on him as he spawned in. Are we absolutely sure that the luck stat doesn't contribute to anything aside from item drop? Anyway, after some time, the Great Wolf has been ye old yeller. Man, that was a dark joke. Press continue would be proud. I'm not the only one that gets lost in this place, right? Like, I don't know what it is, but no matter how many times I go through this area, I always take a wrong turn somewhere. Alright, it's time for the Pain Train, Sister Frida. This was a fight that worried me. To be honest, I have only ever finished the DLC a handful of times, like less than 10, and every time I always felt like I just stumbled my way through this fight. I never felt like I learned how to actually do this encounter and that I had a bunch of health and essence to just offset my shortcomings. Clearly though, I can't rely on that here. Strangely enough, I actually struggled more with phase 2 than I did with phase 3. I just could not easily separate them. And anytime I would go for an attack on Papa Flail, Frida would just come out of nowhere with a spin to win tactic. But after several tries, I did make it to phase 3, where I forgot how to dodge her attack and died immediately. I actually got her on my second attempt getting the Black Flame Frida. It was still pretty clutch though. I was out of heals and not at full health, meaning I wouldn't have damage reduction at all if she hit me, but I guess it's just my lucky day. One DLC down, one to go. I'll be real, I kinda hate this place. I mean, the aesthetic is cool and stuff, but it's Earthen Peak, which makes me think of Dark Souls 2, so, you know. Right, at the end, I got super unlucky by missing this jump, causing me to take fall damage and getting shot in the back. For those of you saying to use the secret shortcut when you drop down and fight the angel, I don't remember where it is. But after charging through like a madman a couple times, I got to the end and can take on the Demon Prince. Some of you might have watched my Elden Ring Sword of Deathless run where I made the mistake of not reading the wiki correctly about how to make Incha invade. Why do I bring that up here in a Dark Souls 3 video, you ask? Well, my dear viewer, I have another example of how illiterate I am. See, it's been a while since I played Dark Souls 3 at all, so I couldn't remember which demon needed to die first to make the Demon Prince easier. So I googled it. The first return was of a Reddit post talking about Demon Prince strategies. In it, the first reply said to kill the demon from below to make the fight easier. What I failed to do was to continue reading, as the first response to that comment says, "Wrong, demon and below first makes the fireball in phase 2. I am actually a fucking moron. And I didn't notice this immediately either. I thought the fireballs that he was spawning were just a normal attack. Eventually I was like,
Wait a minute!
and reread the article and realized the error of my ways. It still took me several tries, and in the end my greed took over, but this time it paid off and the Demon Prince falls. Well, I'm sure it can't get any harder than that. I don't even have a joke for this anymore. I should just stay on the path, I guess. The rest of the Ring City is pretty uneventful, though I do play the Demon Souls Dragon God hide and seek game with Midir. Oh no, I'm not done with you. Okay, maybe he's done with me. This fight, holy crap, this fight took a long time. Definitely exacerbated by the fact that the run back sucks. Why is the entrance in an elevator? What is the point of that from software? Anyway, the good news is not everything Midir did would one-shot me. It was just almost everything he did. I was able to survive his sideswipe claw attacks, but any overhead slam, bite, charge, fire breath, those were all abrupt and instant death. But can we just take a moment and be thankful Midir doesn't have some stupid full body hitbox on his forward moving breath tantrum attack? I got the critical at the end of the fight, but it actually wasn't enough to finish him. Fortunately, like most enemies, he'll just hang around for a second after having his brains turned to shish kebab, allowing me the couple of follow-ups necessary to win. Thank Gwyn. I know I only talked about him for a minute, but that fight was agonizing and I'm so glad it's over. With his souls and the help of capitalism, I am able to get my luck to 99, so what's the first thing I do? That's right, farm the storyteller staff because absolutely fuck Half-Light. Easily the worst boss in the whole series, maybe in From Software's whole catalog. I have zero shame in cheesing this piece of crap boss, especially after what I just went through with Midir and what I'll probably have to go through in a moment with Gale. About 2.5 minutes of watching him do the death shuffle, he goes down. Alright, Slave Knight Gale. Good first try. Alright, it's the point in the video where I have to say something controversial. I think Gale is mid.
Move this man!
No, hold your hate comments for a moment. Gale's presentation is top notch. How he goes from a savage fighter on all fours to an upright knight slinging death with every swing and eventually doing archery acrobatics in the final phase. Now that makes him a super boss. But the fact that he isn't a hard boss is what drags him down for me. Don't get me wrong, he kicked my teeth in during this run, so I have more respect for him now than I did before, but he's still just not that difficult. I'm sure at a true soul level 1, I would think differently because here I found it's actually possible to survive a few of his hits with Lloyd's shield ring and or being embered depending on the attack. A problem I was running into was that I initially only had +6 Estus and he did enough damage to where it wouldn't heal me back to full, meaning I either had to drink twice or risk certain death. I ended up going to get a few more bone shards to bring my drink to +10, which still wasn't enough to always heal me to full, but it helped. Unfortunately, there is no climactic ending to this one. It was just a battle of attrition, and eventually, he crumbles. With all 5 lords sat upon their thrones, it's time for me to end this. The Soul of Cinder. This is another one of those bosses that I have never personally struggled with, so I thought being a base health would make it hard. 2 tries. It took me 2 tries to beat him. Thank you everyone for watching, and an extra special thanks to my patrons. Stay beautiful, y'all. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving a like and subscribing. It really helps the channel out, and why not check out the time I attempted to one-shot my way through this game? The answer might actually surprise you. But until next time, my friends, don't you dare go hollow.